Before the world ended, Jake was known as the best treasure hunter on Earth. No matter how old an object was or where it was hidden, he could always find it. He loved searching for treasure underwater and enjoyed working for himself. Then a massive solar flare struck the planet, and everything fell apart. All electronics stopped working, and the government vanished. Warlords took control, cities ran out of food, money lost its value, diseases spread, and medicine and fuel became almost impossible to find. 6 years after the solar flare, Jake is still working as a treasure hunter in England. He arrives in an old neighborhood and watches the area for a while before entering a hotel. He climbs the stairs to the penthouse, where he notices a large bookshelf. After checking it carefully, he discovers a hidden door leading to a secret room. Jake places small explosives to break open the steel door, then connects his own battery to power a light. Inside, he finds a safe with a keypad that needs a password. By studying the fingerprints on the keys, he writes letters in a notebook until he figures out the correct word. When the safe opens, he finds old records and plays the one that matches the password. The music opens another hidden safe, and Jake takes out a very valuable violin. Suddenly, several thugs dressed as police officers burst into the room and demand the violin. Jake refuses and threatens them with his gun. They attack him anyway, so Jake shoots back and takes them down one by one, stopping briefly when he needs time to recharge. When he runs out of bullets, he throws a blade at a man who is trying to escape. The leader grabs the blade, but Jake gives him the finger, which triggers an explosive hidden inside it and kills the leader. Soon after, Jake enters a huge mansion that has been turned into a factory guarded by armed men. He hands the violin to the warlord's assistant, who tells him that King August has another job for him. Jake finds it strange that a warlord calls himself a king and refuses the offer because it would require crossing the channel. When August hears that Jake said no, he orders his assistant to prepare an offer Jake won't be able to refuse. Jake returns home, which is an old, broken boat at the docks. He carefully avoids the traps he set for intruders and feeds his dog. He checks the supplies he received as payment, including a record, which he plays while having a drink. When he falls asleep, he dreams of sailing a brand new boat around the world. The next morning, Jake wakes up to a strange noise and steps outside. He finds a soldier trapped by one of his defenses. The man says the king has come to see him, so Jake leaves without helping the soldier. Inside a warehouse, August is waiting with many armed soldiers. He explains that he has hired many people before, but none of them have skills like Jake's. He also talks about his plans to rebuild civilization. Jake still isn't interested, but August finally gets his attention by showing him the reward, a brand new boat. The mission is to recover the Mona Lisa, which is believed to be hidden in a secret storage facility. Paris was attacked early on, so the government moved its national treasures to safety. August promises Jake all the food and supplies he needs, and Jake agrees to take the job. Before leaving, he says goodbye to his dog and asks August's assistant to take care of him in case he doesn't return. Later, Jake reaches the airport and feels uneasy when he sees that the plane they will use is full of bullet holes. August shows him a map and explains which routes to follow and which areas are controlled by rebels. He also tells Jake that a contact will meet him in the city center and guide him from there. Once Jake recovers the Mona Lisa, August promises to drop evacuation equipment 3 hours later. That evening, Jake takes off in the plane. The young pilot claims everything is fine, but Jake notices him struggling with the controls and stays worried. The pilot later admits they will run out of fuel halfway through the trip, so they must be ready to use their parachutes. Jake asks for advice since he has never jumped before, but the pilot gives no useful help. Eventually, Jake falls asleep and dreams about sailing again, this time with a woman by his side. Jake wakes up suddenly when the plane begins to shake. He quickly realizes they are under attack. The pilot tries to avoid the gunfire but says they must jump earlier than planned. When they reach a safer area, Jake jumps out and opens his parachute. He drifts through the air before hitting the ground hard. After recovering, he moves forward and sees fires burning nearby. He is horrified to find rebels hanging as punishment. Without warning, a tank smashes through a building and points its cannon at Jake. Before it can fire, a missile hits the tank. Rebels rush out of hiding and throw a grenade inside, killing the soldiers. Once they leave, Jake continues on his way. In the city of Amayan, soldiers rule the streets under the cruel warlord Vilov. Vilov enjoys playing chess because it teaches him battle strategy, and he forces civilians to play with him. When one man admits he doesn't know the game, Vilov shoots him instantly. His right-hand man, Gorich, reports that someone was seen jumping from a plane. so Vilov sends his troops to hunt the intruder. By morning, Jake reaches St. Quentin, a town filled with fear and poverty because of Vilov's rule. Jake takes old clothes from a car to hide his better ones. In the main square, soldiers announce strict rules, including a curfew, and show the punishment by executing 2 rebels. As Jake tries to leave, soldiers surround him and order him to drop his bag. Instead, he throws it at one of them and starts fighting. He slams a soldier's hand in a car door and smashes another man's head against a window. When a soldier attacks him with a knife, Jake blocks the strike and stabs him with his own weapon. Within moments, everyone is down. Just as Jake is about to leave, another soldier steps out to shoot him, but a freedom fighter cuts the man's throat first. The fighter turns out to be Dre, August's contact. She admits she was watching Jake the whole time but didn't step in because she wanted to see if he could survive on his own. Together, they move quickly through the city, blending into the crowds, though a general still manages to notice them. Jake and Dre enter a church, where they meet Father Samson. He has an important map taken from rebels who were recently executed. Samson leads them to his garage and shows them a truck he has been fixing. He points out their next destination on the map, and they notice a coded message in the corner. While Samson prepares the truck, Dre treats Jake's injuries. Suddenly, a general and his soldiers surround the church and order everyone to come outside. Jake and Dre hurry to the truck while Samson steps out to distract the soldiers. When he claims he is alone, they don't believe him and move in to search the church. Samson pulls a gun and shoots the general in the arm, but the soldiers kill him right away. Inside, the soldiers find the garage and focus on Jake in the truck. Dre attacks them from behind, quickly taking them down with gunfire and close combat. The soldiers outside are still busy shooting at Samson, so they don't hear what's happening inside. When Jake starts the truck, the loud radio gives them away. A tank fires at the church, but Jake and Dre burst through the garage door and escape. The soldiers chase them and open fire, but the bullets don't harm the truck. Soldiers jump on motorcycles and follow them. At a checkpoint, guards shoot at the truck, but Jake keeps driving and leaps over the roadblock, forcing the guards to scatter. More soldiers appear in a car, so Jake crashes through a building to escape. The tank fires again, but hits another car instead, causing several bikers to crash. Jake swerves to avoid an explosion, and Dre directs him into a tunnel. They speed through it while 2 bikers stay close behind. When they exit the tunnel, another tank is waiting. It fires, but Jake narrowly avoids the shot. The chase continues, and soon they are almost surrounded. Dre throws a grenade, taking out the bikers, but one car is still chasing them. The tank fires again, and Jake makes the truck jump, causing the shot to hit their enemies instead. As they enter another part of the facility, yet another car appears. The tank prepares to fire once more, but Jake quickly moves out of the way, and again their attackers are destroyed. At last, Jake and Dre are able to drive safely to Soyali. That night they stop to rest. Jake wonders why so many people are willing to die for a famous painting. Dre explains that the painting is only a cover. The real goal is to find the vault before Volkov, because it holds many weapons the rebels need to fight back. Knowing Jake's dream, Dre gives him a small origami boat for good luck. The next day, Volkov travels to St. Quentin by train. A general tells him that only 2 rebels defeated his entire unit and tries to impress him by saying he killed the priest. Volkov shows no mercy and has the general killed anyway. In Soyali, Jake and Dre stop at an old building believed to contain the vault. Dre is nervous because the area is controlled by the Wraiths, former prisoners who became cannibals. When they see a flare fired nearby, they realize they are being followed. Inside the building, they find blood on the walls, and the vault is already open and empty. The damaged hinges show the door was blown open recently, even though the inside is untouched. Jake realizes the contents were moved to a safer place. The Wraiths are closing in, so Jake and Dre keep searching. On the next floor, they find many bullet shells and damaged walls, showing that people fought there. In the main office, they look for evacuation records. Jake discovers a hidden notebook behind a fake wall. Dre translates the French notes and finds coordinates, but Jake doesn't trust them. He believes the guards would never leave the real location so easy to find. Using the cipher on the map, Jake works to decode the true location. Just then, the Wraiths break into the building. Dre urges him to leave, but Jake keeps going until he finally decodes the name Simshof. Dre recognizes it as a fort and marks it on the map. As the Wraiths rush up the stairs, Jake and Dre escape through a window. Jake leaves a grenade hooked to the doorknob, and when the Wraiths burst inside, the explosion takes them out instantly. Back in the truck, Dree contacts the rebels and tells them to meet at Simshof. Moments later, Volkov's train arrives in Soyoli. He notices the truck's tire tracks, and Gorich recovers the notebook with the coordinates. Volkov isn't fooled though. Using a UV light, he reveals Dree's fingerprints on the map and realizes Simshof is the real destination. The Wraith who fired the flare is still alive, and Volkov thanks him for the information by shooting him dead. Jake and Dree eventually reach Simshof, where Dree cuts through a chain to open the gate. As they approach the main building, Jake becomes suspicious because there's no visible security. Inside, machines are still running, leading Jake to assume the facility is powered by solar panels. Dree studies the blueprints and discovers that the humming noise comes from an air filtration system connected to a sealed vault. Jake examines the plans and devises a risky route through an air duct shaft, though a spinning fan blocks the way. Dree agrees to find and disable the solar panels while Jake moves ahead. On the top floor, Jake finds rope, ties it to a valve, and cuts his bag to make a harness. Securing himself, he begins climbing down the shaft toward the spinning fan. As he descends, the rope starts to fray from friction. At the same time, Dree reaches the solar panels and fires at them. Her first shot misses, but the second hits, cutting the power just as Jake slips. The fan stops at the last second, saving his life. After a rough landing, Jake notices the air duct is flooded. He takes a deep breath and swims through it, racing against time. Reaching the hatch, he finds it locked, but with desperate strength, he forces it open just before running out of air. Inside the vault, Jake opens the door from within so Dree can join him. The Mona Lisa is revealed to be a nuclear bomb, with the famous painting painted on its surface. Jake is stunned, but Dree admits she already knew. August kept the truth from Jake because he would never have agreed to the mission otherwise, something Jake confirms. Dree explains that after World War II, the US kept an extra bomb intended for Moscow as a contingency. August doesn't plan to use it, he only wants to keep it out of the hands of warlords like Volkov. Jake argues that none of the warlords can be trusted, not even August, and believes fighting is pointless because they always win in the end. When the rebels arrive to help move the bomb, Jake leaves in the truck. Seconds later, Volkov's train arrives at Simshof, and his soldiers open fire. The rebels fight back but are quickly overwhelmed. Gorich fires a missile that destroys the rebels' truck, and Volkov is handed the bomb's safety key as the weapon is loaded onto the train. Elsewhere, Jake stops and looks at the small origami boat Dree gave him. It changes his mind. He turns back and returns to the fort, finding the rebels' bodies everywhere. Dree is alive, hiding inside with a wounded leg. Jake bandages her injury as she apologizes, admitting he was right and that fighting seems hopeless. Jake disagrees and says they can still stop Volkov by destroying the train. They gather explosives, and Jake rigs a special setup before they escape in the truck. The fort explodes behind them. That evening, poor visibility forces the train to slow down. Furious, Volkov shoots the conductor, causing the train to speed up uncontrollably. At the same time, Jake and Dree drive onto a bridge. As the train passes, Jake jumps onto it. He breaks into a car and throws a grenade, killing several guards. He fights the remaining soldiers hand-to-hand, steals a gun, and opens fire. Gorich soon joins the fight, proving far stronger than the others. He kicks Jake out of the car, sending him crashing near the bomb, but Jake manages to strike him in the groin. The fight continues until Volkov arrives and starts shooting. Jake grabs Gorich and uses him as a human shield before charging Volkov. The two brawl violently across the car until Jake slams Volkov onto a table, stabs his hand with a compass, and takes the safety key. Meanwhile, Dree drives ahead and reaches the next bridge, where she plants the explosives. They detonate just in time, destroying the bridge before the train can cross. And Volkov rushes to the controls, trying desperately to stop it. He fails, and the train plunges into the abyss, exploding multiple times as it crashes into the gorge below. Believing Jake is dead, Dree breaks down in tears, until Jake suddenly appears behind her. They embrace in relief. Later, in England, Jake gives the safety key to August and explains that the bomb lies at the bottom of the gorge. The key is the only way to detonate it, but August still wants to recover the bomb someday. Jake refuses to take any more missions and leaves on his new boat. Dree joins him, and the two kiss as they sail away together to explore the world. In the end, August locks the safety key in his private vault, revealing that he had the real Mona Lisa all along. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.